Hello everyone, and welcome back to History of the Ancient World. Today we're stepping back in time to explore something that brought ancient communities together like nothing else: festivals. These weren't just parties, they were the vibrant heartbeat of ancient societies, blending religion, culture, and social life into spectacular events. From the grand processions in Egypt, to the wild celebrations in Greece, and the solemn rituals of Rome, ancient festivals were a cornerstone of life. They marked the changing of seasons, honored powerful gods, and celebrated everything from military victories to agricultural harvests. So get ready to discover how our ancestors celebrated, what these festivals truly meant, and how their echoes can still be heard in some of our traditions today. Let's dive into the incredible world of ancient festivals. First stop, ancient Egypt, a civilization deeply connected to the cycles of the Nile. One of their most important celebrations was the Opet festival, held annually in Thebes. Imagine this, a massive procession that lasted for weeks. The festival's main purpose was to transport the statues of the Theban triad of gods, Amun, Mut, and their son Khonsu, from their home temple at Karnak to the Luxor temple, about 2 miles away. This wasn't just a quiet stroll. The statues were placed on sacred boats called barks, which were then carried on the shoulders of priests or towed along the Nile in a magnificent flotilla. The pharaoh himself played a central role, acting as the intermediary between the gods and the people. For ordinary Egyptians, this was a time of immense excitement. The streets would be filled with music, dancing, and feasting. It was a rare opportunity to feel close to their revered deities, whose statues were normally hidden away in the temple's sanctuary. The festival reaffirmed the pharaoh's divine authority and symbolized the cyclical rejuvenation of the cosmos. Another spectacular Egyptian event was the Sed festival, or the Heb Sed. This was an incredibly important jubilee celebrating the continued rule of a pharaoh, typically held after 30 years on the throne and then every few years after that. The Sed festival was all about proving the king's physical vitality and fitness to rule. A key part of the ceremony involved the pharaoh running a ritual course, often carrying different emblems of power, to demonstrate his strength and agility. This wasn't just a physical test, it was a magical renewal of his royal power, ensuring the stability and prosperity of the entire kingdom. The festival involved elaborate rituals, offerings to various gods, and the raising of a special pillar known as the Djed pillar, which symbolized stability. For the people, it was a reassurance that their divine king was still strong, and that the order of the universe, or Ma'at, was being upheld. It was a profound statement of continuity and royal endurance. Now let's journey across the Mediterranean to ancient Greece, where festivals were an explosion of artistic competition, athletic prowess, and religious devotion. Perhaps the most famous of all were the Panathenaic Games in Athens, held in honor of the city's patron goddess, Athena. There was a smaller festival held every year, but every 4 years the Great Panathenaia took things to another level. The climax was a grand procession along the Panathenaic Way, leading up to the Acropolis. Picture the entire city participating: elders, soldiers, young men on horseback, and maidens carrying a newly woven peplos, or robe, as a gift for the ancient statue of Athena. This procession is famously depicted on the frieze of the Parthenon. But it wasn't just a religious parade. The festival also included intense competitions in athletics, music, and poetry, with valuable prizes, like olive oil, from Athena's sacred groves. It was a celebration of Athenian identity, showcasing their cultural achievements and democratic ideals to the world. Of course, we can't talk about Greek festivals without mentioning the Dionysia. Dedicated to Dionysus, the god of wine, theater, and ecstasy, these festivals were wild, liberating, and hugely influential. The city Dionysia in Athens was particularly important because it was the birthplace of theatrical tragedy and comedy. For several days, the city would shut down as citizens gathered in the theater of Dionysus to watch plays by the great masters like Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Aristophanes. These weren't just entertainment, they were civic events that explored complex themes of morality, justice, and the human condition. The festival also involved revelrous processions, where participants would sing, dance, and celebrate the intoxicating power of their god. The Dionysia was a time for emotional release and communal bonding, a temporary escape from the ordinary rules of society, all under the guise of honoring the god who represented freedom and transformation. It shaped Western drama forever. From Greece we traveled to Rome, where festivals, known as ludi, were a massive part of public life. The Romans were masters of spectacle, and their festivals were often sponsored by politicians to gain popular favor. The Ludi Romani, or Roman Games, were the oldest and most famous, held in honor of Jupiter. Originally, they were simple religious ceremonies, but over time they evolved into enormous public spectacles, lasting for weeks. The games included thrilling chariot races in the massive Circus Maximus, where teams with devoted fan bases competed fiercely. There were also theatrical performances and later, the infamous gladiatorial contests held in amphitheaters like the Colosseum. These events were a way for the state to provide bread and circuses to the populace, keeping them entertained and content. They reinforced social and political hierarchies while offering a shared, exhilarating experience for everyone from the emperor down to the common citizen. Another fascinating Roman festival was the Saturnalia, which might sound a bit familiar to us. Held in December, it honored the god Saturn, who was associated with a mythical golden age of prosperity and equality. During Saturnalia, all work and business came to a halt. The normal social order was turned upside down. Slaves were often served by their masters, and gambling, usually forbidden, was permitted for all. It was a time of feasting, gift-giving, often small clay figurines or candles, and general merrymaking. A king of Saturnalia was often chosen by lot to preside over the festivities, issuing comical commands and adding to the carnivalesque atmosphere. Many of the traditions we associate with Christmas, like feasting, gift-giving, and a general spirit of goodwill, have roots that can be traced back to this ancient Roman celebration of light, renewal, and temporary social freedom. Beyond the major Mediterranean powers, other ancient cultures had their own unique and vibrant festivals. In Celtic lands, celebrations were tied to the agricultural year. Samhain, held around the end of October, marked the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, the darker half of the year. The Celts believed that during Samhain, the veil between our world and the other world thinned, allowing spirits and fairies to pass through. It was a time of both celebration and superstition. Bonfires were lit to purify and protect, and people would often wear costumes and masks to disguise themselves from roaming spirits. Feasts were held, and portions of the harvest were left as offerings for the spirits and the ancestors. This ancient festival is the direct precursor to our modern Halloween, showing just how long these traditions of marking the transition into winter have been with us. Finally, let's look at a festival from ancient Persia, Nowruz, which means New Day. This celebration marks the spring equinox and has been celebrated for over 3,000 years, making it one of the oldest festivals still widely observed today. Rooted in Zoroastrianism, Nowruz symbolizes the victory of spring over winter, of light over darkness. Preparations begin weeks in advance with a thorough spring cleaning of the home, symbolizing a fresh start. The centerpiece of the celebration is the Haft-Sin table, a special arrangement of 7 items starting with the letter S in Persian, each symbolizing a hope for the new year, such as apples for health, garlic for medicine, and coins for prosperity. It's a time for family gatherings, visiting friends, sharing special meals, and exchanging gifts. Nowruz is a beautiful example of a festival centered on renewal, hope, and the enduring connection between humanity and the natural world. As we've seen, festivals were the lifeblood of the ancient world. They were so much more than just a day off. They were complex events that reinforced religious beliefs, solidified social structures, and provided a powerful sense of communal identity, whether it was renewing the pharaoh's power in Egypt, celebrating democracy and drama in Greece, or maintaining social order with grand spectacles in Rome. These festivals help people make sense of their world and their place within it. They connected them to their gods, to the cycles of nature, and most importantly, to each other. The next time you enjoy a public holiday, a parade, or a seasonal celebration, take a moment to remember these ancient traditions. The echoes of their music, feasting, and shared joy still resonate with us today. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey through the festivals of the ancient world. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to History of the Ancient World for more explorations into our incredible past. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Let us know in the comments which ancient festival you find the most fascinating. We'll see you next time.